Dr. Ian is a very famous surgeon. He saved many people who had no hope of survival. Some people even think of him as God. They think that there is no patient whom he cannot save. He is also very kind, and that is also a reason why people like him. He always helps the person who needs his help. One such day, it was 11 o'clock at night, a patient came to the hospital with a very critical case. He had an accident with a car and he needs an immediate surgery. But at that time there was no other doctor available to perform the surgery, and that day Dr. Ian also said that he would not be able to perform any more surgery because he needs to go home. But since no surgeon was present in the hospital, the nurse had to go to Dr. Ian's chamber. The nurse reached Dr. Ian's chamber to find him already out of the chamber and coming towards her. Dr. Ian saw the nurse and stood in front of her and wished her good night, but the nurse did not say good night to him back, but instead she said, "You need to come with me soon, doctor. A patient has arrived whose condition is very critical and no surgeon is present in the hospital at the moment. We need your help, doctor, please." "Okay, I see. Fine, take me to the patient." After approaching the patient, he was surprised to see him because he was none other than a person very close to him and still is. And when he saw the condition of the patient, he was more surprised because he never thought that he would see this man like this. He braced himself as he focused on his work because he didn't have much time and he had to save this man. After finishing that surgery, he sighed in relief, cause he finally did it. He saved the man she loved the most in this world after his parents. Then as soon as Dr. Ian came out of the OT, the patient's parents stopped him and said, "How is my son? Is he all right?" "Don't worry, your son is all right. He is out of danger now but unconscious, but don't worry, he will gain conscious soon," Dr. Ian said. "Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you for saving our son," the patient's parents said. "No problem, it's my job. It's my responsibility to make sure that my patient is okay and out of danger," Dr. Ian said. After that, Dr. Ian left from there and went straight into his chamber, then removed his mask and washed his hand, and then sat on his chair and pressed his back on the chair and sighed deeply. "His parents didn't recognize me cause I was wearing my mask. I never thought that I would meet you like this," said Dr. Ian as he closed his eyes and the flashbacks of the past come in front of his eye. Ian and Ray were good friends since middle school. They never fought with each other and always share everything with each other and never misunderstand each other. They were best buddies and each other's partner in crime. They both had best bond with other, until one of them confessed. "Ray, I always wanted to tell you this, but I didn't have the courage to come and say it in front of you. But I am telling you today. I love you, I do, for a long time, but..." Ian said but couldn't finish his sentence because Ray cut him off. I need time, bye," Ray said, and before Ian could say something, Ray left from there, leaving Ian dumbfounded. He never saw Ray ever again after that. He tried to get information about Ray by going to his place. But his parent told Ian that he already left for UK 2 days ago for study. And they don't know when he would return. And since that day he is blaming himself that it was his fault that he lost his best friend because of his stupid feelings, and he regretted it badly that day and never be the same from that day. This thoughts interrupted by a sudden knock on the door of his chamber. "Come in," Ian said. A nurse came in and said, "Dr. Ian, Mr. Ray, wake up." "All right, I'm coming, just a minute," Ian said, and the nurse nodded while closing the door. Ian get up from his chair and wear his white coat and left to see the patient. Upon reaching the patient's room, this time Ray's parents recognized Dr. Ian because he wasn't wearing mask like before, but they didn't said anything. As Dr. Ian went in the room, he saw Ray was lying on the bed looking vulnerable. Ray was looking outside through the window, but looked at Ian as he entered. Ian and Ray both stared at each other for a moment, then break the eye contact soon. After that, Ian checked Ray up while avoiding eye contact with him, then checked the file, the nurse who was standing beside him holding. But during all this, Ray was staring at Ian continuously, although Ian noticed that Ray was staring at him for quite a long time, but he still ignored it. after making sure that everything is all right and Ray is now out of all kinds of dangers. He gave the file back to the nurse and was about to left from there, but a familiar voice stopped him. Did you saved me? Yes. Ian said. Thank you. No problem. Ian said. Then Ian left from there. After that day, Ian took a few days leave from the hospital and stayed in his home. He always wanted to meet Ray after that day. He wanted a good explanation about why did Ray left him like this unexpectedly. But not like this, he never wanted to meet Ray like this. One evening Ian was returning home. On his way home he stopped in front of a park. It was the park where he confessed his feelings to Ray and got the first heartbreak of his life. He went into the park and sat on a nearby bench. The park was indeed beautiful. He comes here all the time. This park was a place that reminded him of Ray. And the park was extra quiet today. He was just sitting there looking around the park, then a familiar voice suddenly called him. Ian. As soon as he heard the voice and his name, he looked at the person. And the person was none other than Ray. Ian was very surprised to see Ray. He never thought he would saw Ray again for the second time after the hospital. Ray, you, here. Ian said as he stammered. Ray didn't said anything, instead he hugged Ian tight. Ian didn't hug him back, he just stood there motionless, because he was too stunned to speak or move. After few minutes they pulled apart from the hug and looked at each other, then when Ray spoke. I know I'm late. I know you need explanation. I will tell you everything. First of all, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean to abandon you. But the situation was taught for me, or you can say I was coward and I never wanted my parents to be disappointed on me. Ray said as he continued. That day when you confessed you feeling to me and I left you there by telling you that I need time, it's because I got nervous and don't know how to react. I never stopped thinking about after that day, and then one day when I thought to finally confess my feeling to you, I heard my father was talking with my mother about something and I listened to them. Quietly. Honey, did you heard what Mr. Wen's son did? Ray's father said to his mother. No, what he did? Ray's mother said. His son is gay and married a boy. Ray's father said as he scoffed. Really? Ray's mother said. Yes, and I don't know why Mr. Wen ever allowed this. If my son did that I would kick him out of the house. Disgusting piece of shit. Ray's father said. And when I heard this I don't know how to react. I was scared and shocked that I couldn't move, and then next day I went to UK for study just to avoid you, but at the end I couldn't avoid you, Ian, and I finally met you after 5 years. And when I saw you that day at the hospital I made up my mind that I won't avoid you anymore. Ans will tell you the truth. And I know I am coward, but believe me, I'm not anymore. I'm not scared of him. I won't ruin my happiness for my father. 'Cause I can't leave without you anymore, and I know I'm late, but please believe me, I always loved you. Ray said as he broke down into tears. Ian stopped Ray from crying by wiping his tears with his hand and said, we both suffered a lot in these 5 years, and from that time until now I only loved you, and I thought that when I will meet again, I will only ask you to give me an explanation about why you left me that day, but when I saw that day at the hospital I didn't want to know anything from you that day. I just wanted to be with you and protect you for the rest of my life, and right now I want the same thing, and I don't want any explanation anymore. I will always love you unconditionally. Ian said with a sweet smile. Then they both shared a kiss. Sometime we don't need any explanation, we just need the right person beside us for the rest of our life.